Um, if someone could let me know if they could hear me, if you can see me. I had a hell of a time getting this ready for my first stream. I would appreciate anybody in the chat if you could let me know. First, if you could hear me, and also if you can see me. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's my first stream, so I'm just going to start with talk about my work, what I do, why I do it, and show you a few of my books, my comics, and a few things that I have on my shelves that you might be interested in. So first things first, my name is Bosch Fawston. I'm a cartoonist. My first book. Let me break that down now. First book is called Table for One. It was published literally 20 years ago this year, which is amazing to me. Written penciled ink by me, lettered, color, it was shaded, everything in there. Just take a look at the art. It's one night in an underground restaurant in Manhattan, where anything that can happen does happen. I worked in the restaurant business for years, and I wanted to do something where I understood the world that I was creating. So I used it as a backdrop for this little mini world. And I was very honored to get the praise of the great Alex Toth, who's my favorite, and objectively, I believe, the greatest comic book artist of all time. I know there's Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and all these greats, and Dave Mazzucchelli and John Romita, but Toth was the one who I think he was just above the rest. He was like the Michael Jordan of comic book art. He took it to places no one else really did. He was, cartoony but realistic in the same way. He had like a form of, how would you call it, like stylized realism. And that's what I go for. That's what I go for in my art. Even though Table for One, the characters in there, the less serious characters, the less realistic characters are drawn less realistically. The more realistic characters are drawn more realistically, like the hero and his. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for being here. By the way, I'm sorry about the delay. I was trying to figure some stuff out. I had to download another program, and again, if you can hear me, that's fantastic. I do want to have some commentary every so often about these things that I do. Talk about politics, culture, art, comic books, why I do what I do. And again, there's something also here which it just struck me. I have some hidden things in my art, and one of them I can show you, I guess, here is a character called Kripnik Shvagula. And it's this guy right here, right there. And if you see his hair, that is, it looks like a grease pit, right? And it is, it's greasy as hell, but it also means something. If you look at the hair itself, it's saying something about the character. Can't see it that clearly here, and I apologize. But basically, he's an ass kisser, and there's a silhouette of lips going to kiss ass. He's the kind of waiter that believes that ass kissing is part of the business. And things like that, I put in there that no one would ever catch, no one would ever notice, but I notice it. It gives it a little more richness, I think, for the story for myself. And if someone catches it, that's awesome. That's like an extra plus, but I don't think anyone has ever caught it. So that's something that I'm revealing right now, I think, for the first time. And then you got the other character, Richie DeGrotto. He's having a bad night, and therefore he's at the abyss. He's looking down at the abyss on this one page. Things don't go well from that night. And just one other example, I took that idea about the ass kissing, right, with the silhouettes, and I exploded it with this character called Richie. So he's the ultimate ass kisser, right? So here he is. And if you look close at his hair, it's the same idea, but it's just taken to the extreme. Anyway, so this is something that I'm very proud of this book. It was my first entry to the comic book industry 20 years ago. As you can see, Alex Toth had some incredibly kind words for it, if you want to read it from there. Dennis Kitchen also, and Joe Zabel had really, really kind words for it as well. And Toth, after I finished it, it was only a Xerox copy, pure black and white, without the gray wash that I added. The gray wash to me, it reminded me like an old black and white films. It really brought out the book a little more. And I tend to have a black and white. I love black and white movies. I love the old movies, even not that old, like Raging Bull. Well, it's 1980, but it has a kind of quality, has a kind of clearness about it. It's like black and white, and this character wears pure black and white on his clothing. He's all black shirt, all black pants with a white tie, almost I guess religious in a sense, where it's like a priest with a white thing, but it goes all the way down. It's a tie, and he's the moral character of that world. And you got a lot of gray guys literally wearing gray. And as I said, the less realistic characters are drawn less realistically, and the more realistic are drawn more realistically. And it was something that I thought it was a good, interesting way for me to start my entry into the comic book business. I had, played around with a few different other professions. I wanted to sing, I wanted to write, I wanted to be an actor when I was young. I went to acting school. I wasn't in a few. I was an extra in a few movies, and I think MTV Video, Whitney Houston. And after a certain point, I was like, you know what do you really love? What do you really, really want? And comic books. It was always comic books. And so I said, okay. So I took a summer class in the Joe Kubert school of comic book art. I don't know what the title is, but I think it's a Joe Kubert school of comic book art, if I'm not mistaken. And I learned the value of a brush in terms of inking comics, which I thought was ridiculous at first. I was like, wait a minute, this limp little thing here to ink those sharp lines. And I realized it's the ultimate tool. You can have the thinnest of thinnest lines and the most, organic line possible. It goes from thick to thin, any which way you want. And the entire book of Table of One was inked with a brush, by the way. And I wanted to change it up with The Infidel, featuring Pigman, this one, where the Pigman parts of the story is all brush. The Killian parts, who's the hero in my comic, who creates the Pigman comic within a story, it's all in pen. Just want to differentiate the two. And also the Pigman parts has the white gutters between the panels, if you notice, like a traditional comic. And then when it goes to his cartoonist creator's world, it's all black within the panels, just to differentiate the two. And if you notice, it might not be obvious, but the line work for the Pigman is a little thicker, a little richer with a brush, and then it's a little more flat-lined, a little thinner with the Killian parts. And again, I just wanted to differentiate the two. So yeah, that was my first book, Table for One, and I was nominated for an Eisner for it. And also a Russ Manning Most Promising Newcomer award nomination, which was fantastic. I didn't expect that right out of the gate, but the people at the Eisner Awards contacted me and told me. I was like, incredible, because I was there, I think, a few years before, trying to interest publishers in Table of One. And again, at the time, I literally carried around the entire book. It was 80-something pages, the original art in a big, case. And it got heavy after a while, believe it or not. And I got tepid interest by some of the people. They thought, I think, it was just too off the cuff. It was too not mainstream enough. It was, again, it took place in a restaurant. But I figured I'm going to bring something unique to comics. So I wanted to establish myself, as a writer and a penciler, inker, letterer, colorist, everything. And I ended up getting Dennis Kitchen as a agent, and it ended up going to I think Random House, a few other publishers, and it got serious at Random House. So I was sitting on the book for a while, maybe about a year, and after a while, I was getting a little frustrated. I wanted to be out there. I wanted my work to be out there, and I told Dennis, I said, I appreciate your help, I really do, but I want to get it out there now, and especially after Toth read it, wrote this incredible. I guess mini review about it on this beautifully written postcard, handwritten by him. He actually wrote my name, Bosch Foston, with an exclamation point. And seeing his inimitable handwriting with my name, written in it, literally brought a tear to my eye because he was the one, again, who rose above them all. You have his favorite, Noel Sickles, right? And then you have the other ones, Roy Crane, Milton Caniff, those comic strip, they're legends in the comic strips. And then you had Alex Toth coming in there and thinking he might want to do comic strips, but he, I think, geared towards more comic books. And he never actually had a character that he stayed on for years. He never really got into writing. He regretted that. He said that one of the editors, I think at DC early on when he was a teenager working, said you got to learn to do everything. He goes except writing, and he was a little I don't know, he was a little upset about that because he said that he wanted to figure out a way to tell these stories in as clear a way as he possibly could, but he was in a way he was dependent on writers that he in a lot of ways clashed with. He had such strong opinions. I think that he would have been a lot better off just writing his stuff, regardless if he knew he could write or not. Just write right away. I mean, me, I took writing courses. I went to Robert McKee's courses. I read books on writing. I wrote for years. Writing from nowhere in particular, meaning there was no particular place I wanted to write. I just wanted to write short stories, just myself, just to test myself out. And after a while, I did that. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to have this story about the restaurant. Did that. And in the middle of working on that, 9/11 hits. In the middle of working on my first graphic novel, 9/11 hits. And I had to ask myself, I said, okay, I know I'm going to respond to this. I know it. How am I going to respond to it? And am I going to let this project go by the wayside? Because I was so enraged and so passionate to get going to fight this enemy within my art. I'm not a soldier. I wouldn't join the military, but I said, okay, I can tell this story. I have a Muslim background. I was raised Muslim. And however passive we were, as I always say, the Jew hatred, the misogyny was as immoderate as can be. Even moderate Muslims, we would be considered today moderate Muslims, but we were as immoderate as can be in terms of the Jew hatred and the misogyny. Every woman in my family got beaten. Jews were considered the scum of the earth. I had a Jewish friend, and that was, unacceptable. Even though we both betrayed our religions, and we had our respective religions, and we had a pepperoni pizza pie together. Great guy. But anyway, so then I wanted to use my background, but I got to say, I have to admit that I didn't understand the religion where I was, raised from as much as I should have, because I wasn't 100% sure that the guys who flew the plane into buildings were true believing Muslims, and I had to find out. So I studied as much as I possibly could. We used to have a Quran in our home growing up, but it was in Arabic, and my parents can't read Arabic. No one understood it. It was just the idea of having this quote unquote holy book in the house. That was enough, right? But I wanted to find out, so I read the Quran repeatedly. Twice at least, back to back, and then I just read excerpts and parts of it that I thought, okay, those guys who flew the planes into buildings were absolutely true believers, no doubt about it. And people to this day will argue against me. They will say, well, it's a political, ideology, Islamism, bullshit, not true. You don't fly planes into buildings for anything other than religion, anything other than you believe in your soul or lack thereof, that once you take that plane and fly into a building, you're enter paradise. It's not a political, ideology where if you do that, then what? You're going to you gain some power on earth? No, these guys are gone. So they flew, in their mind, or again, lack thereof, they flew into paradise as soon as they flew into the buildings. So once I had that locked in, once I understood that, I wrote so much that, I don't know, I overdid it. I read dozens and dozens of books, hundreds, if not thousands of articles, without exaggeration. I think I wrote about 1,000 pages of this quote unquote Bible for myself. And again, it wasn't towards anything particular. Just I wanted to understand the enemy and understand how to defeat him, because you cannot begin to defeat this Islamic enemy without understanding them. It's impossible. You understand what their weak points are. And that's where Pigman comes from, because I was raised Muslim again. And the most disgusting creature growing up was the pig. And it was repulsive, right? Every time it came on television, whatever, my mother would recoil, and it stuck with me because after 9/11, I said, okay, what's the last thing these jihadists want to face? The last thing that they wouldn't want to face, first of all, is an ex-Muslim who understands them, who knows their language, literally, who speaks their language, who is willing to do what is considered the unthinkable that we're unwilling to do since 9/11. We've not been willing to do anything to defend ourselves in a serious way. Again, our soldiers, they're willing to take the orders, but they're given orders by weak men, by politicians and general politicians. Yeah, I'm talking about in the military. And the military is full of politicians. They may not look like them, but they sure as hell are politicians. They wouldn't unleash our military on this enemy because we could have defeated them shortly after. So I said, okay, I'm going to create a superhero. And foolishly, at first, I thought I could write a Captain America story and Marvel would publish it. First of all, I was an amateur cartoonist. I was only in the middle of my first graphic novel, and it hit me, quick. As soon as I thought about it, I said, that's impossible. I would love to see Cap take on the enemy. And that's why there's a few different, I guess, homages, that's termed, to Captain America in the Infidel 1 and 2, actually. There's something to do with a parachute and something to do with a shield. Because Cap he would be the personification of America, taking on this enemy ruthlessly. He's a super soldier. He's not a superhero per se. He's a super soldier, right? So that means he will kill, in the name of defending America. And they don't let him do that, I guess. The non-kill code that the leftists imposed on superheroes over the years. But anyway, I created Pigman. And I remember I mentioned on Katie Ditt's channel that my first efforts were a little weak. Pigs are pink, right? So I had a pink, mask on a Pigman with larger ears, pink gloves, and a black suit. And it didn't sit right with me, so I kept going. And then I realized, wait a minute, pigskin leather, those work gloves, pigskin leather boots, it has a tan color. And I said, that's perfect. I love that color. And it's just, it worked. And I gave him the eyes. If you look at them, it's not obvious, but he has like the little Spider-Man eyes, but they're smaller, a little more intense looking. I have, of course, the snout. You know what? I'm going to look at this stuff at some comments here. In the meantime, I'm just going to go through them, if you don't mind. Hey, Matt. Yeah, the time was a little off. Sorry about that. Thanks, Steve. Steve Miller Talks. Appreciate it. It's my birthday. You just said thanks. Thanks, TJ Gray. I'll get back to a Pigman right after this. Hey, Todd. Appreciate it. Outlander, thanks. Trevor, brother, awesome that you're here. Appreciate it. Yeah. Toth was the intellectual of the bunch, says Trevor. He absolutely was. Ditko was a philosopher. That's beautifully put, and absolutely true. Absolutely true. Thanks, Matt. Thought actually very true. His birthday. Appreciate it, guys. Based art department. Thanks, Matt again. Sonsig. Sorry. Black and white film. Yeah, nice. Based art department. Having you and Paul Revoch absolutely talk about Toth really makes me wish I could have met and talked to him. I wish I could have. I corresponded with him and Ditko, by the way, for Toth about a year. I think at a certain point, he was very generous with his time. Believe me, he wrote me these beautiful handwritten postcards. I wasn't called Toth cards, which is what they should be called, because they're truly a work of art. I still have them on my shelf. I have my Ditko letters, and Ditko wrote in pencil, in a very cursive writing. But he was very, very generous with his time. Very generous. But after a certain time, I think a few months, Ditko was like, adios. He was considered a curmudgeon, and but it's so funny. I couldn't find. He was such a recluse that I couldn't find his address nowhere. And a few people said, "Look, this could be it. Maybe." That's when I sent him the black and white Xerox before I even added the gray wash. And within days, it seemed like he sent it to me. And reading that thing, extraordinary, just absolutely extraordinary to get it from Alex Toth himself, the master, the master to me. He's his work at its best beat anyone at their best. And again, there were greats. Of course, there are. Frank Miller, loved Frank Miller, especially his earlier stuff from Daredevil Born Again. The writing in there, I don't think he's ever written a better story than Daredevil Born Again. Dark Knight Returns, fantastic. Um, I know we know with time people are trying to look at the flaws in it. Look, he broke out of mainstream comics with that, meaning he made it mainstream. He made it part of the culture. Within 3 years after it came out, the Batman movie came out. That had a lot to do with it. He broke down that door, and the guy was a hell of a cartoonist, Miller. Um, and then he did a number of things after I wasn't as crazy about, but those early days. I think his last great work was a 300. Was a 300. I'll get back to Pigman right after. I'm going to show the a few of the comics here and there as I go. I showed you 201 first, and then I'll show you Prop Pigman right after. But Miller, it's funny with him. I had an opportunity to talk to him about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, actually, not about 10 years ago. It was 2014. It was a few years after I released, I think, my first issue of Pigman. I had been working on Pigman again since 9/11. I was thinking about the idea, the character. By 2005, I had this. I had a little sheet, a little advertising sheet for Pigman called "When Will Comics Take on Jihad? When Pigman Flies." You turn it around, "When Pigman Flies," and people got a kick out of it. And it happened to be that one of the days I was there, I was at San Diego Comic Con at a booth. The Islamic enemy had killed, I believe, 50 people in London. It must have been July 5th, 2005. July 5th, 2005. I remember that, about 50 people in a bus. And I think maybe with that, people were a little more, they weren't as critical of someone who would do that. They got a kick out of the idea of hitting back against this enemy with that. So Miller, I had a chance to talk to him in 2014. And I remember he looked really sick. He seemed like he lost all his hair. He was going through chemo or something. I don't know what was going on. But I still had, I saw him at a bar. I said, okay, well, since he's out there, he doesn't look too well, but since he's out here, I might as well just take a chance to talk to him. So I talked to him at least for 5-10 minutes, and he wasn't there. He really wasn't there. He wasn't present. He wasn't interactive. And after a while, I walked. I said, okay, I don't know what to do here. And I had a chance to speak with his girlfriend at the time, who told us that he would be meeting us for dinner. He never did. I think 2 times we met back in New York and California, back and forth. But I hope I'm not talking out of school here, but she had told me, because I released the first issue of Pigman. I was on a daily show, and I released it February, I think, 2011. Miller released Holy Terror in September 2011. And while I appreciate that someone else besides me took on the Islamic enemy, he didn't go all the way. And as his girlfriend alluded to that, she said, he didn't go hard enough. Because according to Miller, in an interview, he said that he was, the early ideas about his story, he said you look at it and you saw fire, basically. The paper was basically broiling of the heat that he wanted to, take on this enemy with. And I appreciate that. I had the same heat, the same rage. I wanted to pummel them within my fictional, universe. And by the time it got to print, I think it lost a lot, because he only took on Al Qaeda in a very concrete way. Now, there were some incredibly innovative things he did in that. The way if anyone who read the graphic novel, check it out. It's worth having it, because again, you got to give the guy credit for taking it on. So few people took it on. Again, it's only me and him who took on jihad. I take on Islam itself. I take it on ideologically within the story and the physical enemy. But Miller had a few things in there where, there was a jihadist explosion, right? And you had these faces on the pages, like many faces, right? And they started to fade out, and they turned into white, empty boxes. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Beautiful. At the same time, it's almost antiseptic. It's almost like, not showing the horror. But again, I don't even do that myself. I imply it, even though people think, Pigman's a little too brutal. I don't think so at all. I really don't. I think these people deserve, Pigman. But anyway, so he did that. And again, I appreciate that they took it on, but you can't You got to take this enemy fully. You can't go half-assed. And I believe at the end he did go half-assed. He even had a mistaken quote of Muhammad's in the opening of the book, and I knew that because I had overstudied. Anyway, so Pigman, after 9/11, I started to design the character, and I had a blog, the Infidel blog, and this was the result of it. I drew many drawings of Pigman, the ideas that I ended up using in my actual comic book. This was the first book, 2004. This was 2009, and it's the first print appearance of Pigman. And if you look at prop Pigman, draw on the line against jihad, that's like a pencil. Anyway, so I just want to show you a few pages here and there, what I was thinking at the time. They were basically poster images that I drew on my blog over the years. And my blog ended up getting nuked by fight bigotry. That's one of the jokes I have here, because he exploits Islamic enemies, bigotry. A hero with a stomach to tell the truth and act on it. He wasn't quite ready for prime time. Frank Warner, who ends up being Pigman, he's a little over the hill. He has a belly, let's just say. And he was writing against jihad for years at that time. And until 9/11, when you heard George Bush say, Islam is peace, he knew, okay, he just crippled our war effort. So he started to, okay, I have to do something about this. I got to take the war into my own hands, because I know that our soldiers, who are ready, willing, and able to pummel this enemy out of existence, won't be able to, because their orders will suck. Their orders will be to bomb the mountains of Afghanistan and let Al-Qaeda get away. It took 10 years for Osama bin Laden to finally be taken out. And I remember Pigman takes out Osama bin Laden in issue 1 of Pigman, and a few months later, our soldiers actually took him out in real life. But yeah, so this is something that I collected, and Paradise Lost. Here's one, you got the 72 virgins, and Pigman says 72 virgins of paradise, 72 rapists in hell. So that's the nature of what I was shooting for with this enemy. The call of nature. He's peeing on the Super Jihad's poster. We want you to submit. It's an Uncle Sam poster, and Pigman has jihaded in here. So that's the first print appearance of Pigman, and then it took me a while to get it all together. Again, I wanted to make sure I can get this as honestly as I possibly can take it on, and as well as I can do it. It had to be right. It had to be as honest piece of work as I could do. So then the Infidel. I remember I drew, if you recall, Batman was he was recruiting fellow Batman, I guess, across the world, right? He was franchising his Batman persona, which is stupid. That's Grant Morrison. Maybe he was on a drug binge and just thought that up. Because as Grant Morrison said, he's taken every drug known to man. I can tell Grant. And just an aside with Grant Morrison, he after 9/11, he said that all of a sudden he came out as a pacifist. Great timing, Grant. And then he created Dusk, which was the Muslim superhero for X-Men, the Muslim mutant. Not anti-jihad superhero, but a Muslim superhero. And that's the thing also with our culture. We're so weak. We're so morally weak. We can't even create superheroes against jihad. We have to create Muslim superheroes and ignore jihad. As I often say, the only reason why we discussed Islam as a culture is jihad. What do they ignore? Mainstream comics, jihad. And so that's why I even allude to it in The Infidel, where my stand-in, Killian Duke, who creates a Pigman comic, he says, if you told me after 9/11 that I'll be the only cartoonist writing and drawing comic book against jihad, I wouldn't have believed you. And I believed myself that I would have competition. I did. I think Americans, we can only be pushed so far, and then after that we say, fuck it, we're going to go off on these people. And I thought cartoonists would. They didn't, unfortunately. After the Muhammad cartoon crisis, 2005, I thought it was the normal thing to do. If cartoonists are under fire, for Draw Muhammad, you're going to draw Muhammad. That's what you're going to do. Well, lo and behold, very, very, very few did. Very few did. So let me just go back. Pigman. This is it. And this is Frank Warner. And this is a page from Bruce Wayne. You know, when Bruce Wayne vows his war on crime. This is Pigman doing, his own way about it. Jihadists are a superstitious and cowardly lot, so my disguise must be able to strike terror into their hearts. I must become something terrible, something they fear. I shall become a pig. And here he is, Pigman with his pigskin leather. And this is a stealth drawing of Muhammad. I probably mentioned it before, but no one really caught on to that. But that's what it is. And this is taken from a dream sequence in issue 4. And I guess you'll see it. So this is the first issue. Frank Warner and his friend Muhammad, who were both co-writing books against jihad, against Islam. And they're on the roof, and Frank, and his type of humor, says, "You're just going to stand there?" And so they have a little argument about some stuff, and then next thing you know, a plane flies right over their heads and into the towers. And his friend, after he sees a second tower, here's something here. The thing that shook me, and probably most Americans and most human beings, was when we saw human beings dropping from the towers, because it still angers me to this day when people said they committed suicide. That's a sin. It's like, hey, rat bastards, these innocent people were either going to die by fire or die by falling. That was their choice. No other choice. And some of them, if you recall, actually, they held hands together, a number of them together, and they jumped together. And people on the ground remember that those on the ground were screaming, those who were falling weren't screaming. And people say how they remember that. I think that's something that probably they'll never forget. So Pigman acknowledges that. He's shocked out of his wits here when he sees it, and he goes, "We scream, they don't." And then his friend Muhammad all of a sudden finds Allah again. When does he find Allah? He finds Allah when the second plane hits, when they both realize this is Islam and this is jihad. What does he do? The first thing he does, he doesn't drop to his floor out of sadness or despair. He falls to his knees and says, Allahu Akbar. And Frank Pigman just looks at him in absolute shock. That was his friend. They both left Islam. They were both against it. And this is where he starts talking, Frank. And he starts talking about how those who came to kill us will die for it. And I echoed that line actually to a media, I think reporter, after we were almost killed in Garland, Texas. I tweeted at the time, and it became a headline on the news. That's what it was. I said they came to kill us and died for it. Justice. People said, "Oh, that was a terrible thing." That's a terrible thing. I got $12,500 for drawing Muhammad, which I always did for free. 2 evil scumbags who came to mass murder us got their heads blown off. I mean, that's an incredible day. And then it transitions from the Pigman world, the fictional Pigman world, to the quote-unquote realistic world of Killian Duke. And the reason why he resembles me a little, he's better looking, but is because I think it's important to note to readers, to other people, that over and over again, Islam is an ideology. It's not, it's not a race. People assume, Muslims are, all Arabs. No, that's not true. I got blonde hair, blue-eyed cousins who are Muslims. Look at me, raised Muslim. So I wanted to hit that home. And the brothers, they're twin brothers, and the twin brothers, basically, it's me. If I would split myself in two after 9/11, right? Become a born-again Muslim and a recovered Muslim. And that's where the clash happens. So it's like at war with myself in that way. If I took Islam seriously after 9/11, and if I completely rejected, which I ended up doing. So it's basically, it's that idea. And if you notice, it's a dual story, twin brothers, twin stories in here. And then it goes to issue 2, where I got the Albanian, flag, which is a twin-headed eagle, 2-headed eagle. I got the towers behind it. You can't see it here, but you might be able to see a little outline. it's dualism, right? Twin stories, twin brothers, the twin towers, the two-headed eagle. You got the Super Jihad and Pigman in the shadows of the brothers' faces. And the only difference between the brothers, if you notice, one is has blue eyes, Killian. He's red, white, blue, red hair, white skin, blue eyes. And the other color, the other brother, he has green eyes. That's Muhammad's favorite color. It's the color of Islam, and that's the only differentiation between the two. That and of course the facial hair. And I thought that was an interesting way to do it, and I just want to show you something quick. He also, Killian talks to his Muslim friend. His Muslim friend is concerned about him, right? Because he writes a comic book called Pigman, and he has a little fun at his Muslim friend's expense because he knows his Muslim friend is not a real true believer Muslim, or else he wouldn't be his friend. Why would he be his friend if he's going against Islam and jihad the way as hard as he is? And this guy's maintaining his friendship. He loves his friend, but also he understands that this is a deadly serious issue, and that he is still friends with his brother. He finds out after 9/11, after he celebrated 9/11. And so little lines like this, just quick here. Killian says, he goes, I don't think you're suicidal. Ahmed asks Killian, he goes, I don't think you're suicidal, but your work really gives me pause. He goes, oh, so you do understand Islam. He goes, this is serious, Killian. He goes, this is serious, Killian. He goes, deadly serious, apparently. If you can't stand Pigman, imagine what true Muslims feel. He goes, I am a true Muslim. He goes, really? He goes, you do know that behind Islam's hatred of women is the love of men, which makes Islam pretty gay. And that's not just there for, shock's sake. It's not, even though growing up, Muslim, the worst thing you can call someone is gay. It's not masculine. It's a very masculine religion, as Hitler called Islam, a very masculine religion. Things like that, it's just, that's the language that friends would use. And he finds out that his friend Ahmed is still friends with his brother. And he's shocked because he says, your friend celebrated the mass murder of Americans, and that's when Killian and his brother broke. It was 9/11. They're watching it together, and they see the towers and they see the people falling. And his brother jumps up, screams Allahu Akbar. And Killian literally kicks him out of his apartment, out of his life at that point. And then Killian ends up on a TV show, and then it transitions to the Pigman part. Let me just show you something quick. I don't want to show too much here, but just a design, like it's the first appearance of Pigman, right? And if you look at the page here, it's it's designed as an X. You got the jihadists, right? They're large. You got the smaller Pigman, and the bigger he gets, the smaller they get, the more fearful they get. If you see the way the design is. And then you got him taking these guys on and just going through the tunnels. He found out where Al-Qaeda is. And he's going there, and he's going to pummel them again out of existence. And there are little things that I've done here also, like this panel here, right here. It's a panel that shows. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. It's a panel that shows. It's a panel within someone. It's a panel within someone, and I did that. It began in Table for One. Someone said that they've never seen him do it before. I don't know. I just did it. It was something that I thought was a pretty cool thing to do. And then he gets shot in the back, and it's bulletproof, but it hurts like hell. So he gets shot, and then he realizes. He says, "You," right? And he turns around, and it's Osama bin Laden. And Osama bin Laden tells him. He goes, I'll shoot, I swear. But don't shoot me. Okay, I'm gonna stop showing it. But yeah, so this is something that I felt compelled to do, had to do. And I also knew I wanted to write and draw superheroes that I loved as a kid. I wanted to write and draw Spider-Man and Hulk and Daredevil and Captain America and Superman and Batman and all these characters, right? And I knew that I would probably lose my chance after doing this, and it was worth it because it's like, I have to do this. The rewards weren't many. I've cornered the market, believe it or not, of drawing Muhammad and also writing and drawing comics against Islam and jihad, but there is no market for it. But I am fortunate that people do buy my work, and they do appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate that. Everyone out there who has. Let me just check out some more comments here, if you don't mind, as I go through this. Fight Bigotry Outlander says, absolutely. That is some of the most proper styling ever right there. Sounds like I'm not sure what you're talking about, but if it's by Mara, I do appreciate it. Diana, thank you, Diana. Appreciate it. Wow. Sharon, it's so funny. I get these incredibly extravagant compliments, call me a hero. And the way I see it is this, just because most cartoonists are gutless doesn't make me a hero. I think Marvel and DC, I think any major publishers after 2005, and especially after 2015, again, I apologize. I gotta turn it off here. Anyway, especially after 2015 at the Charlie Hebdo massacre, should have gotten together and made a book in support of those of free speech, first of all, and those who were murdered in the name of it. Absolutely nothing ever came from that. They never would do that. They figured, well, we'll get killed. I've drawn Muhammad now for 19 years. I've drawn him over 600 times. I have multiple books with Muhammad cartoons. I'm still here. Almost got me in Garland. I've had thousands of death threats. I've learned to live with it. This is part of my life. And again, I'm still here 19 years later. So it is cowardice because, again, they can do it. They refuse to. And to me, free speech is so deadly important that if I'm going to die for it, what a thing to die for. Because without free speech, we're finished as a civilization. It's over. And that's what differentiates us completely from every other country. We have the First Amendment that backs up the fact that we have the ability to speak, to persuade people, to argue with them, or else what? It's all brutality at that point if we don't have the freedom of speech. And look at the worlds that don't have free speech. Look at the worlds that don't have free speech to know that we can't lose it. We can't afford that. So in a lot of ways, I feel like a one man, if I'm going to have to do it, to hell with it. That's why I've drawn them so many times. It's like, and that's why I think the death threats have subsided to some extent, because I think even some of them get tired of the death threats. And so it's so boring after a while, I'm going to rape you. I'm going to kill you. It's like, okay. And that's why the books that I have, it's called Peaceful Death Threats. I collected a number of my death threats, only the best ones, quote unquote, meaning the ones that didn't bore me out of my mind. I collected them in 2 books so far. I could do at least two or three more. It was literally thousands of death threats. And I kept the ones that were less boring than others. And I published about 4 to 6 death threats on each page of those books, Peaceful Death Threats. And amongst a new Muhammad cartoon on each page, meaning they threatened my life over Muhammad cartoons, so I drew new Muhammad cartoons because of their threats over Muhammad cartoons. And, I even got, offers of incredible amounts of money from Muslims, I guess, Saudi Arabia, overseas. Some of them have these letterheads like they're lawyers, I believe, and some of them actually meant it. But of course, at a certain point, and if you don't comply, if you don't accept their offer, we're going to have to do something. And again, I wouldn't take $1 billion. And I know, some people, oh yeah, right, you take $1 million. Absolutely not. I wouldn't. I love money, absolutely, but I love freedom. In a lot of ways, I'm in the free speech business. This is my life. This is what I've committed myself to. It's so important. It's so deadly important that I am willing to die for it. To the point where a lot of people who talked a good game about free speech, like the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, if you recall that organization, they had a magazine called what was it called? It was a First Amendment book, and they had a special issue called "Cartoonists Under Fire." Right? Who was left out in there? Who do you think was left out? I called them out publicly. I said, "You have a book about free speech and about cartoons under fire when I was literally under fire, and I'm missing from that book. You guys are leftist rats. That's what you are. You don't give a damn for free speech. You don't give a damn for the truth because you don't like my politics. To hell with you." So I called them out, and ever since then, I think it was the guy Charles Brownstein who was involved was Me Too'd. I think even Frank Miller was like, I want nothing to do with this guy. So he was a rat bastard in more ways than one. But again, this is deadly serious to me. It's not a game. It's not something. It's not. I can't stand this. Also, these rats online tell me you're just taunting them. It's like you're just disrespecting the religion. Once human beings were slaughtered in the name of John Muhammad, in the name of Islam, in the name of insulting Islam, it's over. The idea that you're insulting Islam is over. Once they crossed that line and murdered human beings over cartoons. How the hell can you pretend that, you're still insulting them? No, they murdered human beings over cartoons. The least I can do is goddamn draw Muhammad against it to say, fuck you. The least I can do. So let me show you quick. This is issue 2. I actually had Pigman with my winning Muhammad cartoon where, Muhammad says, you can't draw me. And Pigman says, that's why I draw you. Where I have him saying it instead of me in the actual cartoon. So this is issue 2. I'm just going to show you just a quick little thing. The brothers is called War of Words, and the brothers go at it. It's a battle of ideas, battle of words, and then it goes into the Pigman part. Issue 1 literally left with a cliffhanger. And Pigman, let me just read this to you quick. I think you got to get my glasses here. Where Pigman says, where he jumps off the cliff and then they follow him. Of course they do, because they're suicidal. He goes, madmen. He goes, misogynists dying and killing for 72 quote unquote women, only in Islam. Those things are fun to write about. And this is the homage, as I said, to Captain America. But I don't want to show you too much again. And again, it gets battle of ideas at a comic book convention. There's a Muslim, there's a Catholic, there's an atheist, leftist, communist, and then there's Killian, who's also an atheist, like me. People, on the right, when they hear that I'm atheist, they tune me out. They don't want nothing to do with me, it's bullshit, because I don't judge them based on whether they believe in God or not. I don't, or whether they have religion or not. I judge them on their character, who they are. Whereas they will dismiss me and they won't even promote, Pigman at all, because I'm an atheist. I left Islam in my mid-teens, to hell with it. And Islam is such an evil religion that once you leave, I don't think you can find yourself back into another religion. I think you're so disgusted by the idea of believing in a God or in the afterlife that it does a thorough job of killing that within you. And I got friends who pray for me, who think that's important to do from their perspective. And again, I don't resent it. I do. I think it's a little funny sometimes, I got to admit, because it's impossible for me to ever, think along those lines. But again, people are good or they're evil, whether they believe in God or not. And we all know that. We all know that. You got some atheists who are evil scumbags. You have some religious who are great. You have some atheists who are the most moral people I know. You have some religious people who are evil. And this idea also, when Christians even, come onto my thread sometimes, they get very angry about Islam is not a religion, is to protect, the idea of religion. Islam is a religion. It absolutely is. It has a God, it has a prophet, it has all that, right? And they call him a false prophet. Well, all prophets are false to that extent. They are. Some are better than others. It happens to be that Islam is the most evil. And that's why, I'm not hunting down after religion. I'm not one of those people who is, all religions are equal evil. That's bullshit. That's a lie. Some are better than others. Some are absolutely worse than others. Some are evil. And that's what I fight. And that's why, I'm called a pussy for not taking on to Christianity and Judaism when they wouldn't touch Islam. It's like, whatever, believe what you got to. Just another thing quick here. I just want to show you. I had this little bust, I guess, what would you call it? Like a statuette, I guess, of Pigman. Him and okay, check out his symbol. It's not obvious, but once I tell you, I think it'll be obvious. It's September 11th. It's Twin Towers and a big S wrapping around. September 11th, right? But also it's 9/11. You look at the red part going off the page, and then you got the two dents on that one. It's 93, Flight 93, and 1993, meaning the first attack on the Twin Towers, where they killed 6 people. Jihadists were there. They put bombs at the basement of the towers. They thought, in their sick, twisted dreams, they thought that they would bomb the towers and they would collapse in other buildings and kill over 100,000 people. That was their dream. And they failed, but they still killed 6 people. And a friend of mine actually was in those towers. She made it out alive. 6 people were murdered. And so, yeah, that's in homage to Flight 93, where to this day, you still have people, that was all a lie. I don't believe it at all. I think they were Americans who knew what they were in, knew it was life and death, and had to take out these guys. And they crash landed the plane before it got to Washington. And I'll tell you one thing, though, about that. Their target, I believe, was a Capitol building, the flight that crashed in Pennsylvania. And I'll tell you this, if politicians were murdered that day, hundreds, do you think the Islamic enemy wouldn't have paid a world historical price? I think they would have. I think they would have. But since it was only Americans, since it was only voters from their perspective, and I mean this, I think they're the scum of the earth politicians, both parties. I think there are individuals in there who are still retaining their humanity to some extent. It's very difficult, but some of them are. But in the vast majority are absolute scumbags. And the only way they would have reacted to the enemy properly was if hundreds of politicians were murdered that day. I'm not saying I wish that happened, but God damn it, from their perspective, it was only Americans/voters, especially the Democrats' minds. And if it was politicians, I think they would have paid a heavy, heavy price. I think the nukes would have came out. Like World War II, Japan kills almost 3,000 Americans in Pearl Harbor. We respond with a nuke, with 2 nukes. They killed almost 3,000 Americans on 9/11. What did they do? Bomb some mountains, half-assed wars, quote unquote. They said we've been at war for 20 years. Again, bullshit. That's not war. That's an avoidance of war. War is pummeling the enemy out of existence quick. That's war. You don't fuck around. And especially in a nuclear age. What do you think these guys will do? We see what they do with planes. What do you think they'll do with nukes? Of course they'll set them off. Of course they will. So I don't have issue 3 of Pigman. I just sold out of a number of my comics, but I just wanted to show you that. And then I got a few books also. This is my, let me just tell you, Charlie Hebdo shook me to my core, as I believe it did all human beings who love freedom, who love life, who love the importance of free speech, who love free speech. I think that was smaller than 9/11, but they were trying to murder free speech. And by that, I mean this. They thought, we put these guys down. There's no more Muhammad cartoons. There's no more disrespecting Islam. That's it. It's over. And I tell you, the politicians, the scumbags who were there in France, I think we even sent some Americans in there. The Obama administration sent them there. They were leading a crowd to nowhere, if you recall. And they were holding pens in the air, right? Pens. Not Muhammad cartoons. They have a teacher that says, Je suis Charlie, as if they're Charlie Hebdo. If you don't draw Muhammad, you're not Charlie Hebdo. It's a lie. You're not. You, looking. If you don't draw Muhammad, you're not Charlie Hebdo. You're not. You're pretending to be, and you're pretending to support them. Pens in the air, T-shirts, Je suis Charlie. No. What they deserved, those who were murdered, was for everyone there to have T-shirts with Muhammad cartoons, with the Charlie Hebdo in specific Muhammad cartoons. That's what they deserved. A real support of free speech. Every newspaper, magazine across the world to print those out again. Everyone. They didn't do that. Maybe 2 or 3 publications in America. I'm proud to say one, an objectivist publication, the Objective Standard, did that. Kudos to them. Even a left-leaning magazine. And Charlie Hebdo, they were leftists. They hated all religion. They went after all religion. But you got to respect them for that, because a lot of leftist rats, they hate religion. They go after all religion except Islam. But Charlie Hebdo had some balls. They had some principles, so they went after all religions. And again, after that, it was January 7th, 2015. I remember that day. Shook me to my core. I had been drawing Muhammad a number of times prior to that, and I drew Muhammad I think 3 years prior to that because the Charlie Hebdo offices were firebombed, and I had drawn Muhammad in blood red with a Hitler mustache, and Geert Wilders shared it online. And then the Charlie Hebdo massacre happened, and Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer decided, you know what, we're going to do something about this. And what sparked their interest in doing something about it was 3 months later, March 2015, 2 months after Charlie Hebdo massacre, Muslims in Garland, Texas, at a convention center had a Defend the Prophet conference, whatever that is, conference, whatever, get together to defend the Prophet, not to defend free speech, humanity, rights, freedom, life, to defend a prophet, long dead prophet, even if he ever existed. Who knows? There are books about that Robert Spencer has written, which puts that to doubt. But the fact is that Muslims believe he existed. That's what matters. It doesn't matter if he did or not. That they believe he does, that's what matters. They went there to defend the prophet. They were Americans, right? Alleged Americans, to defend the prophet and to help, basically walking over the graves of those who were slaughtered in the name of Islam for Draw Muhammad. So Pamela Geller saw that and said, you know what, we're going to have a Draw Muhammad contest at that same event. We're going to announce the winner. And it ended up being May 3rd. And of course I entered. I said, you know what, I mean, the prize would be $10,000 for the winner, $2,500 for the People's Choice Award. And in March of that year, when the contest started, I entered, and I won the People's Choice Award. It was, it was on websites like Breitbart and whatnot. So I was going to be headed to win $2,500. By the time of the event, a week before the event, I was told by Pamela Geller, I said, listen, she goes, I'd like you to be in Garland, Texas on that day. I said, did I win? She goes, I can't tell you, but be there. I said, I'll be there. Love Pamela Geller. Never met her before, so it was a great opportunity to meet her. I think I met Robert Spencer a few years before that, and Geert Wilders as well. Go there. I see Pamela, and it's a cartoon event, right? And you go there and you're being checked by police. Why? Because Islam doesn't mean peace. And I mentioned that in the speech I gave. Go there, get in there. Pamela Geller sees me. She goes, "You're going to get one big ass check." That's what she told me. So I knew I won at that point, just officially. I figured I did, but so Robert does a speech. She does a speech. Geert Wilders does a speech, and then I did my speech after I won. And I mentioned in there that I said, why do you think in this cartoon event we have this kind of massive, of the security? We have the SWAT team, we have undercover agents, I said, because Islam does not mean peace. That's why. That's why. And I had a few choice words for certain things. And then I mentioned also Ayn Rand and how I left a misogynistic, Jew-hating religion for a woman of Jewish descent. It's funny. I get a kick out of that. Then after my speech, I'm talking, I think it was NBC or CNN, one of those channels, and they're stupid. They asked me dumb questions. That, where are you from? I said, America. Come on, where? I said, America. What the hell would I tell you where I'm from? It's ridiculous. And then my friend who was there told me, hey, there's a shooting outside. I said, I got to get home. I have a flight. He goes, whoa, there's a shooting. I said, okay. I guess it didn't hit me. It didn't register. So we heard that there was a shooting. So we were all taken in the back of the room. And there was an auditorium there where America's Day broke out and started to sing the national anthem. And I was hanging out with Robert and Pamela and my friend, and we were there and couldn't get through to family and friends. They thought the worst, naturally, because there was the news broke out. It became an international news story. And I finally got through. I think I used Robert's or Pamela's phone. Finally got through to some friends and family, and it's harrowing because if you think about it, it's like you're drawing cartoons, and your life isn't in balance. And I remember one of the security guards came up to me and goes, "You're the cartoonist?" He goes, "Yeah." So they flanked me. From their perspective, I'm still a target at the point. The guy who wins, right? He's more of a target than others. And we started talking, and we knew someone in the Bronx, New York. I was born and raised in the Bronx. He knew a friend of a friend. Albania guy as well. And I said, wow, what a small world, because I was in Texas and I wasn't living in Texas. I was somewhere else, but we're there. And he tells me that he just caught word that the guys who came to mass murder us got their heads blown off. And I had this fist pump, an aggressive fist pump. I was like, fuck yeah. And loved it because, first of all, we're defending freedom, right? And the fuckers came to mass murder us. And who died that night? The fuckers, the jihadists, those who came to mass murder us. I mean, talk about justice, talk about beautiful, like a story. They're the only bastards who, they're the only ones who were killed, those who came to kill us. And then there's another story, which we never found, we never got to the bottom of, that there was an FBI agent egging them on. This fucking FBI of ours. I'm sorry I'm cursing a lot, but I'm just getting a little heated here because I'm thinking about how corrupt our government is. FBI agent was egging them on in text, right? He was in front of the car before them. They drove in from Arizona. He was in the car ahead of them, right? As soon as they got out of the car to start shooting, he drove off. Think about that. FBI agent is linked to the FBI, right? He's not an independent agent, meaning an FBI agent drove off when Americans are about to be slaughtered, mass murdered. Obama's FBI. Unacceptable. Never got to the bottom of it. I went to the FBI headquarters, as best as I could to try to get the truth out of them, find out. Of course, they wouldn't. And there were some decent guys I knew there, guys that Muslim organizations hated, which meant they were probably good. But yeah, we never got to the bottom of it. Supposedly he was in Islamic garb. Is it a Muslim FBI agent? Maybe. We never found out his identity. The only reason why we found out, by the way, was that there was a case in North Carolina. It was a third jihadist who was involved with the jihadists who came to kill us. Their first mission was to bomb the Super Bowl. They figured it was too much security. So as soon as they heard about the Muhammad cartoon contest, they said, okay, that's it. Probably not great security. Who knows what they thought? A soft target, relatively speaking, but there wasn't. Pamela Geller, and that's the thing. They know Islam, they know jihad, so they knew to arm these people to the teeth. The bastards got no further. They did end up shooting a cop in the ankle, and another cop blew their heads off. And they had a flag, an ISIS flag. They were connected with ISIS. It was the first official ISIS attack in America. It was the first one. So yeah, that was. I remember after that, I was invited on every single show, from Good Morning America to CBS and NBC and CNN and everything. And the first one was what's her name, Sustern, Greta Van Sustern on Fox News. Hours after, it was like I slept an hour that night. I had to get an early flight. Ended up there. Got on there. They told me they would show my cartoon. They didn't. Pissed me off. And I couldn't see anything because I was in a remote place where the video was there, so I couldn't see even Greta or nothing. I'm just on a blank, blind area. And I'm assuming that they're showing my cartoon, and they didn't. And they said they would, and then they didn't. So that's when I said out to the public, I said, listen, you want me on your show? You're going to show the cartoon. So CNN and others, they said, we want to show. I said, sure. I said, I'm not forcing you to do anything. I said, you're going to have me on. You have me on for my cartoon, right? Let's get together as Americans. Let's support free speech and show my cartoon, and I'll discuss it. Oh, no, we can't do that. And then I can't come on. And I remember being called a media whore at that point because I was on Fox News, right? Media whore. It's like, what the hell? I was invited to be on TV. I wanted to discuss the issue of free speech, how important it is, and they didn't show my cartoon. I don't know what kind of media whore that is. I'm a pretty bad media whore because I turned down all these news stations because they wouldn't show my cartoon. The point is that they weren't on board with defending free speech. They only wanted to have me on, I think, to question me, to challenge me, not the enemy. Not that we almost got murdered. They were actually blaming us for causing this. It's like, hey, man, you were insulting Muslims. And again, I reiterated to them, whoever else did have me on, because they did show, Rebel News showed my cartoon. Awesome, Rebel News. Awesome. The Blaze. Loesch. God damn it. I'm sorry. I forgot her name. Unbelievable. Dana Loesch. Sorry, Dana. Sorry, you had me on. You showed my cartoon. Thank you. Truly. It's just they understood the issue and they were not afraid to take it on. And then ultimately it was John Stossel on Fox News in a free speech special. He showed my cartoon repeatedly, and it was brilliant because he showed my cartoon. It was on the screen, right? And then when Muhammad says, "You can't draw me," it was blown up wide on the screen in a balloon. And then my words, "That's why I draw you." And it was interesting because they had a member of CARE on the show, and when they showed my cartoon, when they had her on screen and she was talking, then they had my cartoon on screen while she was talking. So no doubt this Muslim told her people, "Hey, check out my appearance on Fox News," and they were forced to see my cartoon, which is great. But yeah, John Stossel had balls. Fox News had balls because they didn't show it. Megyn Kelly was the most passionate person about the issue of free speech after the attack, after almost died that day, and she had Trump on. 2015, maybe June, before he announced, because it was May, the attack. I don't know when he began to run, maybe in June or July. And it was right before he announced his decision to run for president. She had him on a show. I had the video. I put it on Facebook years ago. She showed him my cartoon off screen because they wouldn't show it on screen. I was on Red Eye. I tried to show it on screen for a split second, and what was his name? Good guy. It wasn't Greg. It was Tom. God damn it! I forgot his name. I get check your responses in 1 second, guys. I'm sorry, but thank you very much for your patience. Again, it's my first stream, so I'm just getting used to this, and I can talk about this for hours. Megyn Kelly is telling Trump about it. She goes, "Look, the cartoon is very simple. You can't draw me. That's why I draw you. It's about free speech. That's all it is. It's not offensive. It's not gratuitous. And nothing nasty." And that's my thing also. I don't care to have Muhammad banging some pig like some people tell me to do. People have even told me, like, commissions, and I make my work off commissions and my comic book stuff, and I'm a struggling artist. I am, but I still make it. But hey, I want you to draw, Muhammad banging a pig. I said, no, that's not my thing. I don't really care for that. They call me a pussy, a coward. It's like, yeah, sure, you draw Muhammad doing that. It's just not my thing. I don't care for that. And her point was that it's the issue of free speech. And when she showed him the cartoon, it was a little off screen. I guess if Fox wasn't showing it, she showed Trump and he rolled his eyes. And Trump pissed me off at that point because he not only did he go on Megyn Kelly's show, he went on radio shows, he went on 3 or 4 different shows, and he kept doubling down on us, tripling down, quadrupling down on us. What are they doing, John Muhammad? This is ridiculous. He said nothing about our would-be murderers, nothing about them, nothing about Muslims who were celebrating the fact that Charlie Hebdo were slaughtered. Those at Charlie Hebdo. It pissed me off. But of course, between him and whatever they're running now, of course I can vote for Trump. To me, it's regardless of whatever of that issue was. And again, it's a deadly important issue, clearly, especially for me. But I love the country. I want it to do well. Who's going to hurt the country more? The other side. Who's going to hurt the country less? Of course, Trump. But anyway, so did that, and then the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, listed me as a one-man hate group. Not those who were cheering on our deaths, not those who came to kill us, not those who were involved with those who came to kill us, like one of their cohorts in North Carolina, but me and my friends and my those who were involved with it. But they listed me as a one-man hate group. And I remember Majid Nawaz ended up suing them for $3 million. I should have sued them. That's not the way I think. I laughed at it. I thought it was ludicrous, the fact that they called me a one-man hate group, for Jerome Muhammad. But they did that. And then it was 2018, 3 years later, I was invited to be the judge for a new Muhammad cartoon contest by Geert Wilders in the Netherlands. What would happen is that I would be invited to fly there and speak at The Hague. Awesome. First time in Europe, it would have been. I've never been to Europe before, so what a way to go. What a good reason to go to Europe. Go there, do my speech, announce the winner, and in the middle of my speech, draw Muhammad, which I've done at a college in Maryland. I've offered many colleges to do that. One took it up. In the middle of my speech, I want to show people this is freedom. If we can't do this, we can't do anything. We should do this. What happened was they anticipated death threats, Geert Wilders and his whole, security team, but not to the extent that they got. I've never gotten more death threats than I ever then. Not when I drew Muhammad, not Pigman, nothing. Not when I was on the Daily Show. I've never gotten threats like that. Literally thousands. Brutal death threat. I mean, I never got rape threats before until then. Rape threats, crazy. But anyway, so Wilders called me up 3 o'clock in the morning, and he told me, "Look, I know you want to do this. I know I want to do this. I invited you to do this, but it's out of control. It's too much for them to handle, the death threats." I said, so I tried to talk them out of it. I said, "This is why I do it. Yes, why you do it. Why you do what you do. That's why. It's not when they're going to get tough. It's because they're trying to kill us. That's why I do it." And unfortunately, I wasn't able to convince him. But I got more death threats than ever then. And then through that, I started publishing my Muhammad cartoons. And that's my Woody Muhammad cartoon I mentioned before. It's about over 100 pages, about 120 of my Muhammad cartoons. Muhammad the Barbarian with a flabby Conan type thing. Stop Islamization, Geert Wilders talking to Muhammad. And here was a back cover where it's a play on my Woody Muhammad cartoon, but it's a little different. It's me drawing Muhammad. He goes, "Please don't draw me, drawing me." He goes, "It's Everybody Draw Muhammad Day," and I mean everybody. And of course, it's a bad drawing, but I had some fun with that. Here's Muhammad, blood drenched with a peace symbol there. Here's a little look at some of the cartoons. Muhammad playing guitar. I had a number of these which I drew for people. Allahu AK-47 said Allahu Akbar. Hillary Clinton. It was fun. Geert Wilders taking on Muhammad, and did this one, and then it was another one that I did. Volume 2 is an actual quote from Muhammad, unlike Frank Miller did. "I've been made victorious with terror," Muhammad. Back cover. It was a commission that someone asked me to do, and I thought it was hilarious. Conquer the kuffar, the kafir, which is the infidel. Share the war booty with Muhammad, a sock puppet. And this is another one that I drew hundreds of Muhammad cartoons. Either they were published or I did I think 40 that were exclusive to this. Muhammad taking a knee, Pigman style, with Pigman's knee. Muhammad in the lineup. H.R. McMaster, the piece of shit who worked for the Trump administration, the general, who basically always said Islamism is a problem, radical Islam. Not Islam. Islam's fine. So I drew him as Muhammad. If you look close at his eyes, it's a crescent, the Islamic, the star with the crescent. Harvey Weinstein as Muhammad. And, actors from The Soprano, Muhammad in Carbonite, that yellow bastard from Frank Miller's comic. So I did a lot of those. And then I just want to show you quick the Peaceful Death Threats books. So volume 1, "You Are So Dead, Peace," right? And that's the back cover. It's a back of him. Instead of kicking me, draw me. And this is the, I have these peaceful Muslims within the inside, front, and back cover, threatening. And Muhammad as a ballet dancer there with a sword. So this is the death threats, about 4 to 6 every page with, exclusive Muhammad cartoons, brand new ones that I did exclusive for this. Michael Jackson, zombie as Muhammad, Nosferatu Muhammad there. And I had a lot of fun because I was responding to them on the page. Not everyone, but every so often there were some that were so egregious, so ridiculous that I had to respond to them and mock them. And sometimes I even had some of the death threats, puncture Muhammad there in the elbow, there in the head, bleeding, peanut style. And he calls them P-nuts with the P-E-A, knocked out. That, and then here's a second volume, Muhammad in a wife beater, naturally. And the back cover had a little fun there. Bosch Falls' best book yet, False Knock Bar. So it's Muhammad reading that book, and like reading that book, over and over again. These were similar things. John Wayne as Muhammad. I got, Tom York from Radiohead as Muhammad. Elvis, Jack Nicholson, Hitler as Muhammad. Uh, Characters from the from Star Trek, from the original, from Next Generation. Um, these were fun. Uh, what's his name? The wrestler. I forgot his name. I had wrestlers in here. I had Anthony Cumia from the Opie and Anthony show as Muhammad. And then I have my book on Islamophiles, which are non-Muslims who blow Islam, who basically praise Islam to the hilt. And my thinking is, why aren't they Muslim? And it's Muhammad Pimp's thinking as well. On the back cover, he says, Muhammad Pimp here. And I want to ask my bitches who praise Islam one question. Why the hell aren't you Muslim? And the reason why he's Muhammad Pimp is that it's Islam bitches, right? So I have Islam bitches from across the centuries, modern to a few hundred years ago. And I have their actual quotes that they praise Islam with. And I have Muhammad. It's a pimp imp, meaning it's a small pimp. And I'm having him criticize these Islam bitches. And he's self-conscious of the fact that I'm making him say these things and he hates me. The evil falses make me say these words. That's a piece of shit. What's his name? Jake Tapper. There was 6 people murdered in New York City, and his response was, they screamed Allahu Akbar, but Allahu Akbar is also a beautiful thing said. Grotesque. I mean, I said Allahu Akbar when I was a kid, praying to Allah in a mosque. When people are murdered, that's the last thing you want to talk about. You want to talk about the fact that the guy screamed Allahu Akbar and killed 6 Americans in New York City. So it's throughout the entire book. Even Trump's in there. Trump has said some really stupid things about Islam. Not as bad as Bush and Obama, clearly. But he said Islam is great twice on record, which I hated. Hillary Clinton, even what's his name? The Nigel Farage, he was terrible on Islam and terrible about Tommy Robinson also. But so yeah, I play just straight. Even people who I would vote for, even this and that. Hey, if they bent over for Islam, I'm going to call them out. Jimmy Carter, get all these characters across Europe, across the world, across history, and that was a fun book to put together. So I'm going to, let me show you this also. And if you like these books, I have most of them available on my store, boschfawson.com. My Pigman books, comic books, I have to order a number of them still. I got to talk to my printer about getting it here a little faster than they normally would. Check them out. I have a three-issue package deal. I have individual issues. I have literally 150 prints, but I only have a number of them on my website. I'm going to go to your comments. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Here's my trading cards, my Muhammad trading cards. As I call it, the rarest trading cards in history, and it's true, they are. I made it look like a baseball trading card, with the baseball bat over his back. They have his stats in there, how many people are killed, how tall, how short, and I have, I think, 13 of them. I even have Pigman trading cards, and that's my Winning Muhammad cartoon with the entire story on the back. Pigman trading card. I got another Pigman trading card coming out soon. There was one also which I thought was pretty fun. It was Muhammad drawing me in revenge, right? And he says, sorry, I got to put on my reading glasses. He says, take that, Fawson. And I say, I drew you and me, And he's like, oh, man. So it's Muhammad getting revenge by drawing me. And Muhammad's short-lived revenge. And again, the back I got interesting ways of drawing Muhammad, and again his stats, and also quotes of his actual quotes. So I'm going to check out the comments, and you guys, it's up to you now. I basically said what I gotta say here. Thanks, Lee. When Pigman flies, haha, love it. Thanks, appreciate it. Let me start from the top. Sorry, guys. Base art department. I love everything about the design of Pigman. I appreciate that. I really do. I think what I did also was, Daredevil, right? That crimson, red, black suit. I think I clearly had that. I wasn't conscious of it. I just love the look of it, where the muscles are wrapped with a little black line with some red lighting around it. It's beautiful, just a beautiful look. Wally Wood, I mean, come on, that design, beautiful, beautiful design, pure red from top to bottom. I wish they did that for the TV show. They could have found a way to do it, but they didn't. Even though I think the new Daredevil Born Again series will have a brighter red, because the other one was almost purple. Almost embarrassed to be, superheroes. I love the fact that, again, even Deadpool and Wolverine, right? You got Wolverine with his comic book, accurate suit to an extent. The mask is beautiful, by the way. It's awesome. But the yellow, it's not embarrassed. I love that. Don't be embarrassed. Embrace it. Look at Iron Man. He looked like comics. Look at the Spider-Man costumes. And even the recent ones in the movies, beautiful, based on the John Romita Sr. redesign of Ditko's. I mean, Ditko had this brilliant design, right? And what did, Romita do? He one-upped it. He perfected it. If you notice the design, it's not obvious, but he has this thing where Spider-Man, it acknowledges he has the nose line. He has a line that goes across the nose, a line that goes across the mouth, a line that goes from there to there, and it suggests a human face. It's not obvious. I see it. When I tell people they're a little confused about it, they're not sure what I mean, but I think I drew it out once with Peter Parker's face behind it, like a little shadowy, and they got it. But he took a brilliant design and made it even better. And Romita Sr., I mean, he was inspired by Milton Caniff, by Noel Sickles, by all those guys, and by Toth. He had a studio in New York City at a certain time, John Romita Sr., and he had Toth in the studio. Why? Just to have Toth in the studio, just to have Alex Toth there. They don't have to require him to do much. Have him there. Have him comment, have him say whatever. Have the master there. Great, great, great artists. So Todd, 1 second. Hearing you and Paul Ravoge talk about Toth, yeah. Paul had the privilege of spending time with Toth, of actually going to Comic-Con with him, which is unbelievable. He had a time to spend with the master. And Paul's great artist, great guy. I know that he has a little rough on Comics Kings because he goes on these tangents, but I'm not sure if he's black-pilled. I think he is. He's had a tough time, as most of us have had, about our governments, about the corruption. That I think he's fed up with it, and hopefully he can just come back around to understand that not everything is terrible, not everything is lie, not everything. There are lying rat bastards out there in politics and media. Absolutely, I call it the government media. They're scum, but not everyone is. So how old are you? Someone asks. I don't talk about my age. It's my birthday. I'll mention that. But I was told by the FBI, just don't get that out there, only for the reason that people can assume what they want, and they don't want any kind of more information out there that's available for the rats who want to take me out. They figure out my birth date. They figure out some other stuff, my Albanian background. Who knows? So yeah, I'm as old as you assume I am. That book, Trevor, that book was one of the most complete concepts I've seen in quite a while. Sorry, Trevor. I don't know what you're referring to. I apologize. Maybe if you're still here, just mention it later. Outlander, he just turned 28. It's funny. Todd, of course, all artists have their preferred tools, but I did some comic book art inking when I was in high school, college, and a brush was a key tool for tapering lines as well as filling black areas. Absolutely, Todd. Brilliant tool, beautiful tool, exceptional. It's something that, again, as you say, to fill in the black areas, to get the thinnest of thinnest lines, and then to turn it into a thick one right away. And it's just a gorgeous tool. And I get fresh ones every so often. But I go back and forth now. Table Form was all brush. The Infidel Pigman, brush for Pigman, pen, only exclusive pen for the Killing. And my current project, which is, let's see, maybe show. It's not announced yet. Show a few things about it. Just quick. Just a quick look. Sorry, but that's about it. I don't want anyone to put two and two together. Um, this anyway. Those are my thumbnails. That's what that's what I decided to do with this project, because usually they're smaller, my thumbnails, but these ones are a little bigger, a little more detailed. And then I transfer them onto larger pages. Basically I use Lightbox, and then I do the real deeper drawing, more detailed drawing, backgrounds, everything. And it's an incredible project, something that I've wanted to do for years. I got the opportunity. You know, that's all I want to say. It should be announced in a little while, but that one I'm using everything, pen, brush, everything, and the size is different. I'll just say that. There's a reason why. I'll be discussing at a certain point. The size is different than most of my books, and it's the longest thing I've ever done, ever. And that's why I mean, I'm late on these things. I am on Pigman. I had not a sabbatical. I was working on another project that wrote a script for 500 pages. You know, was going to be incredibly long, and it fell apart due to some factors. Post Garland attack, death threats, everything. My life was flipped over. It was. When I don't make light of it when I say, hey, I've been drawing Muhammad for 19 years. No, my life is different now than it was then, completely. It's not what it was. But it was my choice. I knew going in that that's what I'll be doing. So I was working on another project, and then thinking about getting back to Pigman, had some stuff to do. I was doing cartoons for the front page magazine, and then I got another opportunity. And that's the one I'm doing now for the last few years. And I will be happily sharing some other stuff. Let me show you just one quick. Let's see what I can show that someone might not be able to put two and two together. Maybe. I don't know. This one might. Character design from that. That's all. It's a character that I'm very happy to be designing. Okay, so yeah, Todd, absolutely. Outlander, sharp work. Appreciate it, Outlander. Thank you. I always love the look, and based art department says I always love the look and feel of inking with brush plus a splatter and streak of a dry brush. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Based art department asks, don't know how much you are reading, chat, but any recommendations for books on writing? Linda Cowgill. I've read, I don't know, dozens books on writing, maybe even too much there, but it's okay. I want to really, really understand good writers and what they think about writing. It was important. And again, every single book I read on writing, I learned something from, whether it was a small nugget or full books like Robert McKee's. And again, Robert McKee gets a bad rap. They think it's cookie cutter stuff. Absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. The guy's a master teacher. And I remember speaking to Leonard Peikoff, and he had taken the Robert McKee course, and he wasn't too impressed by it. And I asked him if he had a story in mind when he took the course. He said, no. I said, that's a problem, because every time I went, I was with writing a story. I was already in the act of writing that story, and I already had the characters in mind. So everything that Robert McKee says in that incredible, intense 3-day course, which is literally hours, right? 12 hours a day. You sit, you take a little break here and there, a lunch break, maybe. I don't even think we took a dinner break, but bathroom breaks, clearly, coffee breaks. Everything he says, the principles of writing, right? You funnel into your concrete story. So he has universal principles, and when he's talking about them, you cannot help but think of your story, your characters, the inciting incident of your story, the drama, the conflict of your particular story. That's when the course really took off for me. Robert McKee, he wrote Story, a must read. Again, anyone who dismisses it, oh, it's a quick cutter, bullshit. Read the book first. And most people who say that haven't read the book. I took a seminar 6, 7, 8 times, East Coast, West Coast. Every time he came around, I took another seminar of his. It was about, I guess, long form, Soprano style, Breaking Bad, TV, long form programs. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, beautiful. And so I took a few different courses of his as well. He has retired from that, unfortunately, but I believe there's going to be some kind of collection at a certain point. I really really hope so. I really hope so. It should be treasured. It should be collected. But yeah, story 100%. The one Ayn Rand's books on writing is very good. Also, a little more off the cuff. Not It wasn't written as a book. It was her discussing writing in some of her seminars that she had, uh, some of her speeches. But story by Robert McKee. To hell with the critics. Get it, read it, understand it. Beautiful. Linda Cowgill, The Art of Plotting. Something about that book blew me away. The way she analyzed scenes, stories from movies to everything, beautifully done. I read Mark, my books. That one was probably the bloodiest looking book that I have, even more so than McKee's. Linda Cowgill, The Art of Plotting. Fantastic. So yeah, I've read a lot. I've read many books on this, but the two that are standouts for me are I've read the Stephen King one. People praised it. Honestly, I don't remember too much. I don't. Not just because he's a leftist rat. Yeah, and he is a leftist rat, real imbecile. But it didn't stay with me. Nothing really jumped out to say, okay, yeah, that's a meaty thing. That's a great thing he did. Maybe he said something there, but I don't know. But again, I took copious notes on all these books that I have. I have a big fat, library of these books and all the things that jumped out at me, and I liked writing them down after I saw them in a book. Just something about writing it down that you retain that knowledge a little more. The act of simply writing it down on paper concretely. McKee, Linda Cowgill, the two standouts. And again, there are more. If you want to ask me, maybe on Twitter or something, someone or on X, excuse me, X. I want to call it X. You got to give the man his due, man. Got to give, I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought that a guy who's taken on the left will be taking and owning Twitter at this point? A few years ago, no one would have thought that. He's made a massive difference. I've not been banned. I've been posting Muhammad cartoons as much as I always did. I've not been banned. I've been punished, unfortunately. Hour, 2 days, but I've not been banned. That's better than before. I was banned for 4 or 5 years off of Twitter. I had 14,000 people, followers, banned, and that took me about 9 years to build. 6 years to build 14,000. I come back within a year. I got 26,000. Pretty damn good. Let me go here. Let me read a little more. Sorry, guys. Don't much. Yeah. So, Based Art Department. Yeah. Again, Robert McKee's story, and he's written some other books as well. I still have yet to get to them, but I got them. Every time I take on a new story, I always reread those 3 or 4 books, always, and I always go through all my art books as well. All my art books. I just want to remind myself of what was important about the lessons that I learned. Revisit them. We can never learn enough, ever. You think you learn enough, your art's going to suck. You've never learned enough. Until the day I die, I will learn. Lee Weiner, hey Bosh, glad I could make it. Have to split in 20 minutes. Hope you do more of these discussion streams. Absolutely. I do intend to. Thank you very much. And again, if anyone's, those who are here, if you could subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Like it. I want to get the account up so I can monetize this channel. We had a channel here. We did a show, me and Andrew Bernstein, called Politics and Culture, and Truth and Politics. And then it became Culture, Truth and Politics, but Truth and Politics and Culture. Truth and Culture and Politics, excuse me. It got nuked after the 5 episodes because we had Robert Spencer as a guest, and I had him clashing with Muhammad on the image. That was it. But yeah, I hope to keep my channel here, and I got many of your cards, a couple of your books. Thanks, Sharon. Appreciate it. Thanks, Trevor. Happy birthday, Bosh. Long live the Porcini Patriot or Porcine. God damn it. I think Porcini is the Italian way of putting it. Based Art Department says, also, thanks for following me on X after I shared your stream announcement. Absolutely. I need to pick up your books very soon. Thanks, Based Art Department. Appreciate it. And I always appreciate the shout outs. And anyone who gets my books, I will absolutely follow you guys. I really do appreciate it. I don't read too much on Twitter, on X, that is. I go there, I post, and then I more or less get out. But yeah, you shut me out, you get my stuff. Absolutely. It's the least I can do. I do appreciate it. Outlander, that was great. Thanks. Sharon, again, the extravagant comments. I do appreciate you're a hero for taking on Islam, since this is a harsh penalty for doing what you do. And it's true. Not only do I take on Islam, I'm a recovered Muslim taking on Islam. That's worse because I was born with the quote unquote gift of being born, in Islam, born with the gift, right? It's so funny. It's so ridiculous. She says, and also what anyone does for taking it on. Yeah, but you are really out there. So I'm told. Thank you. Thank you. Diane said, hi, Bosch. Happy birthday, Diane. Thank you for taking on Jihad in Islam in the Pigman comic series. You cannot go half-assed on Islam. Absolutely not. That's why, I don't resent Miller for going half-assed as much as disappointed. Disappointed. You can't do that. Not with this enemy, not with this threat. It's like going half-assed against Nazis in World War II. Why? Go after them as, full guns blazing. Base art department, it's hard to hold up a mirror to the evil and horror without being insanely graphic with the violence. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I don't go gory. I don't do that. I don't go gory, but I definitely go hard. And it's implied violence. Sometimes, Pigman takes a jihadist, crushes his head into his body, and he's left, shaking, ends up dying. Things like that. But it's not too gory. It's not too visual because he has the entire suit on, all the covering. All right, I gotta go shower, and I'll try to pop back in. If not, I'll watch the rest on replay. Thanks, Base Art Department. Appreciate it. 1 second. Okay, it skipped here, so let me just keep reading. I want to read them all. Anyone wants to check out, that's fine. Appreciate it. Maybe come back, watch it later. This is really fun. It's like, it's the first time I've done this thing, and I gotta say, I gotta be honest. I'm surprised I was able to pull it off. I had to do a few things today. It was my birthday, so I was, having some fun and doing some stuff, and I wasn't sure if I could do it. I was hoping to do it and I had to upload this one program and do this and connect it to here. I was like, wow, how the hell am I going to figure it out? I figured it out a little late, but I figured it out. So thanks everyone for being here. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry for the delay. I do. So let me just keep reading. It's hard to hold up a mirror. Sounds like this is some of the most proper styling ever right there. Again, sounds like if you could remind me what you're talking about, I would appreciate it. Outlander fight, bigotry, absolutely. Base Art Department, all right, I gotta go. Okay. Dude, your wit is fantastic. Appreciate it. Thank you. So morally weak that they're immoral. Absolutely. No doubt. Lee asks, I got to roll now, man. I hope you leave this video online after I will. I guess I'll figure out how to put it up as a video on my channel. I guess I can figure out how to do that after the stream so I can watch the rest of it later. I look forward to joining it. If you do it again, happy birthday. Yeah, it will be rewatchable. Appreciate it. Happy as a birthdays to you, Bosch. Thank you. Undercover Al. Thank you. Trevor, when are you going to finish Pigman? Trevor, it's again, I just mentioned, I gave you a little sneak preview of my current one. It's a few years in the making. Soon. It's always been something that's been knocking it off. It's a passion project. It really is. It's something that I do, but there's work involved. I gotta do other work, and I'm paid to do other work. That takes a priority. My Pigman stuff, I have to do it. I feel compelled to, but it's not as urgent. Just literally not as urgent, especially the one that I'm doing right now. But it will be finished. 6 to 7 issues, ultimately, over 200 pages. And the end result will be, as I've always planned it to be, pigskin leather cover. Whether it's Pigman's mask, full mask from top to down, from the top of the cover to the bottom. Pigskin leather will be Muslim proof. It's true. No Muslim's going to want to read it. It's made of pigskin leather. It's fun. Hardcover, pigskin leather. And it gets bigger and bigger, the story. The great Daniel Greenfield, who I had the privilege of making cartoons for his articles for years, the last 10 years. He wrote some incredibly kind things about my work. What was it? Something he said. I'm trying to think, and I'm sorry. something he said about the Pigman and the work itself. Don't remember. Gotta remember. But anyway, let me just keep going here. A few more. Um, Undercover Alley, happiest birthday to you, Bosh. Appreciate it. Thank you, Al. When are you going to finish Pigman? Again, it'll be 100%. I will finish it unless the jobs get me, which I doubt they will, but they want to. It'll take a few years, I believe, for the final thing, and I might even, because I'm even thinking about doing these crowdfunding, watching Ethan Van Sciver's Trashcast, watching these individuals do this, and it's just something that I didn't quite understand, the comic skate and all this. I really didn't. But man, I just want to consider trying something along those lines, because then I can really get it going where I won't have to, just send it out there. And if I make some money, great. This way I can actually get paid for it prior to doing it, show everything that I can towards it. And hopefully at a certain point, get that hardcover done. Okay, that's the ultimate collection, for me. So yeah, that's Magic for now, Trevor. Believe me, it's been a long time. I know. DJ Grave Mix says that disturbed me. I could be talking about the individuals falling from towers, possibly. Disturbed, shook me. Stephanie, thanks. Happy birthday, Bosh. Appreciate it. Stephanie, Sharon, I had personal experience with it in the 1970s, but it was 9/11 that finally kicked me in the butt to read why. Yep. Trevor, just that use of color alone. Come on, people, buy this damn book. Appreciate it. Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate it. Sansig, really, everything is just perfect. I guess all the work, I do appreciate it. Jimmy the Lumberjack, I can't wait to read Pigman. Bought the 3-book set. Appreciate it. Thank you. If you just bought it, a few people just bought it this week. I just ran out of issue 3, and I'm about to run out of issue 1. I got a stack of issue 2 left. I'm gonna get my order in as soon as I possibly can. So if anyone ordered and is listening, I'll be doing that. Thank you so much. Always appreciate it. And I gotta say, the feedback is fantastic. It really is. There's no hateful stuff out there. I think those who get it already are committed to understanding what we're facing here. It's not going to be some leftists who gets it, even though I got to say a few leftists read it and reluctantly praised it, calling it a brilliant work of art, even though I hate his politics. Hey, I appreciate it. I really, really do. Jimmy the Lumberjack, A makes this the best country in the world. Absolutely. The First Amendment, 100%. Again, it's the difference that makes the difference. It is the thing that distinguishes us from everyone. And it's not just a point about free speech. We know free speech has existed. It always has, in a lot of ways. It really has. As soon as men started communicating, men and women, language. But the point is that it's recognized here a little more than we have the First Amendment. The law backs it up a little more. Ultimately, though, politicians want to do us dirty. They can and they will and they do. People are going to jail over criticizing Hillary Clinton. Disgusting. Disgusting. They should be pardoned as if they committed a crime. But legally speaking, that's what they have to be. Jimmy, wow, I thought I received some bad reviews, but I thought I received some bad reviews. Bosh, you win. Yeah. The reviews. Oof. The reviews being the death threats. Kafir, my man. Happy birthday. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Make comics great again. Cool. I like your quote. If I stop, who will draw him? Yeah. Ditto. DJ Grave Mix. It's refreshing to me. Again, I'm sorry. I've lost the context here. I've seen people do the chat things. Usually they only read the super chats. Here, it's my first thing. So I'm going to read all these, go through them. And then after that, I'm going to just close it up and show you a few more things, actually. A few more things I have here. Thanks, Sharon. I do love the statue of Pigman as well. Beautiful. Absolutely love it. I remember I had the designer and I made the front, the back, the angle, quarter angle, everything, right? And they botched a little. They made the eyes bigger. I said, well, please just stick to my design. That's all I want. And they stuck to it. Perfect. It worked. Beautiful. Awesome. And again, that pigskin leather, the tan color, the rust color. I love the way it looks. That's my boy, Pigman. Jimmy the Lumberjack, nice, meaningful logo. Thank you. Yeah, I think it really worked. DJ Grave Mix, we are all atheists about most of the gods that humanity has ever believed in. Some of us just go one god further. Yeah, I think I've heard that. One of the Christopher Hitchens or Sam Harris, I don't know. Sam Harris, that's a whole different story. I could talk about him for a while. Sonsig, the Uni Party, absolutely. Make Promise Gary again, the most selfish of selfish people. Maybe talking about philosophy, objectivism, maybe Ayn Rand. Jimmy Lumberjack, who wants a job that costs millions to get and only pays a few thousand a yes. Someone who wants to get rich. Yeah, politicians. Diane, Obama regime, absolutely. Again, I lost so many contexts here. Sorry, everyone. I was going on about a lot of stuff here. Sonsig, showing support without showing support is a whole other level of depravity. Yep. Sonsig, I remember that and knew it was absolutely pathetic right then. Jimmy Lumberjack, well, looks like France has been conquered again. Yeah, I believe it. They brought this on themselves more than any other country. They allowed more Muslims in their country than any other European country. Yep. And if they didn't do that, the guys at Charlie Hebdo would be alive. Keep that in mind as well. Jimmy Lumberjack drove off. He led them there. Happy birthday, Lisa Andrews. Thank you. Diane, forced to show your cartoon. Yeah. The Muslims who were on John Stossel. DJ Grave Mix, that's its pointing. Sorry. Lost the context again. Headless Bourgeois. Happy birthday, Bosch. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Can't wait. Pigman 4. 3 has a hell of a cliffhanger. Yeah. I made it a point to have cliffhangers. Issue 2 has somewhat of a cliffhanger, but issue 1 and 3. Issue 3 is the biggest cliffhanger I've ever had in any of my stories ever. Jimmy Lumberjack, LMAO, love the cards. Going to have to score those next. Yeah, appreciate it. Jimmy Lumberjack, well, these cards are more information than document cards. Absolutely. Document cards being Eric July's reverse character called Document. Like Documents, I guess he documents these characters. And got to say, the writing on there, the way he describes characters, it's as bad as his comics. And I'm not, people who allegedly love Eric July's stories are not great. I was excited to get the comics myself. I got it. Not good. Not well written at all. He didn't take it deadly seriously. He didn't go to writing school. He didn't study his ass off to get writing to make a hell of a comic. If you have a flashy character, you better make sure it's a kick-ass comic, or else why bother? Why bother? It doesn't make sense. Kafir, Bosch's mocking retorts are hilarious. Thanks, Kafir. He's talking about my book, the Peaceful Death Threats. Buy the book. Nothing else like it out there. Gotta admit, that's true. And sometimes I gotta toot my own horn. It's like my store is filled with things that no one on earth sells. It's a fact. It's not just a brag. It's a fact. Who sells Muhammad trading cards? Nobody. Who sells comic books taking on Islam Jihad? Nobody. So my friend mentioned it. I'm going to mention myself. I mean, this is just, it's true. Trevor said Table for One was the book I was referring to. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks, Trevor. Headless Bourgeois. Paul Revoche is based. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Paul's great. I've known Paul online for many, many years. A great cartoonist, a serious guy, a moral man, a very serious guy. And again, I believe he has dealt with what we've all dealt with. But I believe, again, there's truth out there. There are truth tellers out there still. Not everything is rigged. Not everything is rigged. The government, hey, you want to say it's all rigged? That's up to you. The media, there's always individuals who have their own platforms who you can trust. There are outlets that you can trust, that you follow more than others. You're admitting that, but just by following them. So not everything is evil. Not everything is bad. Not everything is over. It's not. That kind of black pilling, I can't stand it. And again, I don't think Paul is black pilled. I don't think so. I think he's willing to at least admit that, the government will lie to us. But once you start saying that we didn't send men to the moon, once you start saying the earth is flat, that's, I don't know if Paul has done that, maybe the moon thing, but no, there was a time when we actually absolutely did those things. C. Miller Talks, I have subscribed one step closer to 1,000. You should too. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Thanks, Steve. Please, Anyone out there, if you could tell people also, I would really appreciate it. I do want to monetize this channel. I do want to have commentary, politics, culture, my work. Talk about read other comics, review comics. I got a ton of hardcover books. I have these artist edition books of Frank Miller's, Dave Mazzucchelli, Toth. What's his name? Indie artist, Ghost World. What's his name? God damn it. If someone can mention it, if you're here still. Let's see. I subscribe. Okay. Hope that's a different Miller than me. Huh? Politicians make great comics again. Jason Adams, Objectivists Matter. Walking. Yeah. Okay. Jason Adams, Objectivists Matter. Walk into a crowded room, not a soul in sight. My favorite line. I use it often. Thank you. If you look up there, you see my. That's the signature image of my first graphic novel, Tale of One. I walk into a crowded room, not a soul in sight. That's the attitude that the writer waiter has in the story, especially after the night that he has there, and the people he's dealing with. That's his feeling. That's a general feeling about the thing. And I remember Joe Quesada, the editor-in-chief of Marvel at the time, 2003, 2002, I think. I sent him a copy because I sent him this image. Walked through the car room, not a soul in sight. He goes, love it. You got any more? I said, I have 81 pages. Graphic novel. He goes, send it. I did. He ended up getting really sick. Ended up getting in the hands of Axel Alonso, who's a flat-out communist. He's the guy who destroyed Marvel. He's the one who brought in Miss Marvel and all that bullshit. So unfortunately, it didn't get there. And there was the art director of DC at the time, Mark Chirillo, who was friends with Toth. He was very kind about me, and he showed my stuff, and he gave me encouragement. Never, probably we don't agree politically, but he was very kind to always respond to me. I was very presumptuous at one point. Also, I thought maybe because he had the artist editions, not artist edition, but they have these things where artists do the entire thing about their art. They showcase their art in writing, and I thought I could do that, and I really didn't. I don't think I earned that position, and I apologized some years later. I said, honestly, I think I was presuming too much. I know you like my work, and of course, I love my work. Or else I wouldn't do it. But I'm like to be celebrated at this point. Yeah, I still have a long ways to go. Anyway, so I did that, and I actually DC and IDW did a benefit book for the families of the people who were slaughtered in a Pulse nightclub in Florida, a gay nightclub. Muslim goes in there, kills 59 people with 6 people, slaughters them. And they were having this book, and the book was called Love is Love. And I was like, okay, I get it. But can you give me at least one page? Have everyone talk about love is love. Have everyone talk about the homosexuality. Have everyone talk about this. Can I talk about hate is hate? Can I talk about the killer and why he killed him? About the deadly homophobia that Muslims have that led him to do that? Can I at least have one page to tell the truth on one page instead of this rainbow love? That's not what it was about. 60 human beings were slaughtered for being gay. At least give me one damn page to say, this is horrific. Hate is hate. Not just love is love. Hate is hate also. And Mark, again, was very kind and generous, and I'll forward it. He said, me not expecting anyone to actually do anything about it. But again, he was always just a nice guy, really, and probably doesn't agree with my politics, but very, very cool. Steve Miller talks, said, Table of One is a great read all around. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Make great comics great again. Daniel Klaus, I believe. Klaus, I think it's pronounced. Thanks. I have one of his art books. It's beautiful. He's a very unique character. He really is, and his comics are very unique. But he has a beautiful art book. He's despicable, yes. I mean, look, some of the work is absolutely politically, who knows what the hell he is, but man, that art book of his is just beautiful. Axel Alonso. Okay, that's who make great comics in. I'm assuming Daniel Klaus is a leftist. I'm assuming. Steve Miller talks, making a living and working full time, doing something one loves is the greatest. It is the best 20 years of my life was when I was doing that. Absolutely nothing like it. Nothing like it. So yeah, thanks everyone for being here. I'm gonna just a little more uh, something here also. I got Muhammad playing cards. I got Muhammad playing cards. It's a whole deck, and I have drawings of Muhammad throughout the entire package, here, and the back. A very simple black and white version of the front, and I'll show you the cards quick. The first printer I asked, they said they'd do it, and then of course they balked after. So, oh, we can't do that. But check it out. Here's the cards. Here's the Joker card. Muhammad is a Joker. It's and every card has basically a shadow of Muhammad in the middle. Every card, and every of those designs has the crescent. All of the designs have them. Check these out. I have so yeah, this was really fun to do. I sold a nice number of them. People really were, I think, blown away by the fact that they exist. To be blunt, I think that's what they were blown away by, the fact that it exists, and that's where we are. This is impossible stuff, right? It's impossible. Well, they're at my store. They're real, and some of these printers, I got to say, I had a printer who would print everything I've done until now. There's new ownership and dragging their feet a little. I have this finished Muhammad. It's a flip book of Muhammad, finished for months now. My longtime printer was willing to print it. They get taken over by another company. They say, well, it's a print concern. Is it? I don't know. I'm going to assume that it's not. I'm assuming it's the subject matter. So unfortunately, I got to find another one. And I've been trying 3 or 4 already turned me down. I'd love to send it out there. It's really fun. It's Muhammad and someone's following him, let's just say, and he's running for his life. It's called Muhammad on the Run. Just something here also. I want to show you something here that's pretty damn cool. It's on my shelf. And anyone who loves comics knows this character. And I'm going to discuss the origins of this character as well to those who don't know. But how cool is that? I mean, look at this. I had to get it. And I put this right in front of it. Those who read it know where this is from. Watchmen by Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons. It's interesting. It's to me, it's not up there with Daredevil, Born Again, and Dark Knight, but it is. I acknowledge it as an incredibly well done comic book. Deconstructionism, absolutely. A lack of respect, I think, for some certain things. And those who've read it, let me tell you, and those who don't want to know, maybe check out now, tune out. The opening, right? If you read the story, if you don't want to hear this, again, we'll catch it next time. But the opening of the story, you have the comedian who's like a perverted version of Captain America, right? Where he commits horrific crimes for the government. And he's taken out in the first issue. He's a conservative, right-leaning character. First issue, he's taken out. Last issue, Rorschach, the other non-leftist right-wing character, is taken out. It's bookended by these two characters. Why? Because the writer's a leftist. And people say, oh, he's not a leftist. He's an anarchist. He wears a goddamn hammer and sickle T-shirt. And there's a picture of him out there. Everyone knows it. He's a mess, Alan Moore, politically. Real asshole, too. I mean, trashing Miller. I think when Miller went after the, Occupy Wall Street. Miller went after him. And Miller himself, though, what a disappointment. Because, again, Miller was all talking about free speech for years, decades, since the 80s, right? Speeches about them, always talked it up until, you know when? This is a fact. I pay attention to these things because free speech means everything to me. Until 2005, when cartoonists were threatened with Muhammad cartoons, with death for drawing Muhammad cartoons. Where was Miller then? Was he out there doing his thing? Was he drawing Muhammad? I don't think he's ever drawn Muhammad. And I say that because, you can support free speech all you want. You can claim to. If you don't support Joe Muhammad, you're full of shit. You're not real. You're not for free speech. You're not. If that's the limit of your support for free speech, you don't support free speech. I support free speech, but you're full of shit. And my point is that Watchmen, technically speaking, a really well done comic. Even though you take out Rorschach, it's worthless. I mean, you got Dr. Manhattan, this cold, inhuman character, this Superman who's walks around naked, doesn't know what to do or think, or just doesn't have anything true about him. So, anyway, so Rorschach, there's something about that, where he takes out these two characters, and also Rorschach is based on the Charlton character, the Question, and somewhat Mr. A, Steve Ditko's characters, his objectivist characters, right? And Steve Ditko, while I love him, it was very tough to go through those comics. And again, I got friends who are true believers, and they love Ditko, and I do too. And believe me, I correspond with him. The guy's great. And those first 30 issues and annuals of Spider-Man, the first 3, better than any Spider-Man comics ever. The only ones that come close to me are the Roger Stern, John Romita Jr. 1980s. They were so good. Unfortunately, John Romita Jr. had a different inker in almost every issue. Whatever reason, I don't know why. I wish there was more consistency. If Terry Austin was there, imagine that. Terry Austin inking John Romita Jr. for those issues that Roger Stern wrote. And Roger Stern's a hell of a writer. So yeah, the Watchmen, Alan Moore wanted to use the Question. He wanted to use Blue Beetle. He wanted to use Captain Atom. And I guess, I don't know what was going on, but DC wouldn't let him do that, or they didn't own all of them at that point. I think they ended up owning them at a certain point. So he just made amalgamations. He made basically characters based on them. So he had Mr. A, the Question, turned into Rorschach, a faceless character. The Question has no face, right? His mask is made like a skin color. It has no face. It's very mysterious. But he has this Rorschach thing where it's always moving, and it's pretty wild. Every panel in the comic you see it moving. Then in the movie, of course, you see it actually moving. But he was trying to diminish the character because it's a Ditko right-wing character, right? He tried to diminish the character by making him, a psychopath. According to Alan Moore, you're a psychopath if you believe in black and white morality. Alan Moore, who, in response to 9/11, not that I heard, but that he shared in an interview, he said, yeah, my daughter called me, and I said, that's an interesting way to do it. So detached, so inhuman. His reaction to savages flying planes to our towers and killing thousands was, interesting way to do it. And again, he shared this in an interview, which is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. But my point was that he tried to bring down Ditko's black and white heroes. And what happened? It blew up in his face. Why? Because if you're going to be at all honest about Ditko's characters, and therefore through Ayn Rand's characters, these morally ambitious characters, if you be at all honest about them, they can be compelling, regardless of your intent. He intended to bring Ditko down through Ditko Rand, and then the Question and Mr. A. But you take Rorschach out of that book, it's a soulless book. It's nothing of what it could be. And that's why, it's the most compelling character in the entire graphic novel. And I can't wait when he enters the story. If he's out there for too long, it's like, God damn, where the hell is Rorschach? You got his other characters are always limping around, morally limping around. From Mr. A to the Owl to Sapphire, I forget, the Silk Spectre, I think, and Ozymandias. And again, if you haven't read it, sorry, maybe check out. But who's the hero according to Moore? Who does he side with? Think about that. Mass murder, right? Who wants to get peace through mass murder? No. What does he do to the guy who wants to tell the earth the truth? What does he do to that guy? Kills him. at the end, wipes him out. And not only would he try to diminish character, but he tried to make him ugly, make him short, where he wore lifts within his shoes to try to make himself look taller, because that's the only way, I guess, Moore could see heroism on the physical level. Like, oh, he's just trying to be tall, he's trying to be heroic. And anyway, so yeah, the guy, it never resonated with me the way, again, Miller, Dark Knight Returns, Daredevil Born Again, Batman Year One. And Batman Year One, I'll be getting the artist edition, which comes out in a few weeks, actually. Man, incredible. I can't wait to see that. Alex Toth wrote Dave Mazzucchelli a fan letter during the run of that series. I think in the second to last issue of the 4 issues, or the 4th issue, a fan letter, because he said people were telling me that, I guess you have the Toth look, and he absolutely agreed, and he did. It was beautiful. It was very different than his Daredevil Born Again. Those who pay attention to the art in Daredevil Born Again, if you understand Mazzucchelli, that first issue, to the last, he was going through transitions in very different styles of art, pens and brushes, and you could tell his style was changing completely. And by the time he got to Batman Year One, it was less experimental and more of a very distinguishable style for that entire series, from top to bottom, from the first issue to the last. A more consistent style with that dead, thick line. I don't know what he used there. It could have been thick markers or brushes. I know he used brush for Daredevil. I don't know what he used for Batman Year One, but it's fantastic. Let me read a few more here. Also, Jimmy the Lumberjack, here's a joke I love. Why do you not have sex education and driver's ed on the same day in Muslim countries? The wear and tear on the sheep is too much. Wow. True. So these are marked playing cards. Marked as in, I'm sorry, I don't play cards, so I wouldn't know what that means, but they're all, marked, I guess, with Islam and Muhammad. Yeah, make great comics. Make great comics again. Rorschach. That's the statue I have here. It's fantastic, beautiful. It's a great character. Again, despite Moore's efforts, a compelling character, the most compelling character in the entire graphic novel. Make great comics great again. Make great comics great again. All came out around the same time too. Yeah, Dark Knight, Watchmen, Daredevil Born Again. I think Electra Lives Again came a few years later, but those three, I mean, think about that. Comics, we were, that's an incredible time. Incredible time. I was a kid and just blown away. Steve Miller talks, market those to the casinos in Egypt like the London Club. Oh yeah. If you talk about the cards, sure. Jimmy Lumberjack, I have access to union printers all over the country. If you need to find printers in the States, let me know. I will. Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Trevor, Rorschach is proof that Alan Moore didn't understand who the hero is in his own book. Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. He killed those who were the hero. He killed Rorschach, was the hero. Again, Rorschach, as he says, when they want to go along with this horrific mass murder, he says, never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. See, from Moore's perspective, he probably thought, oh, that's a way out there line. It's the best line in the entire book. It's brilliant. And it's him trying to channel Ditko and Rand and bring them down. But no, he lifts up his story and Rorschach and the novel itself. The best line in the entire novel. And then you got another line with Rorschach in the prison, right? I'm not in here with you, he tells all the criminals after he destroys this guy, burns him, right? I'm not in here with you. You're in here with me. And, brilliant. Again, brilliant. But again, it's also more trying to channel from his perspective, maybe machismo. Who knows what that asshole is trying to do, but he's such an asshole. He hates comics. He says it to this day. I hate comics. Like, yeah, I can tell. Steve Miller talks. Frank Miller. My blog is banned in Pakistan because I've not done half measures, right? My blog and my social media accounts were blocked from the entire dictatorship of Pakistan. Funny. Yeah, make great comics great again. Make great comics again. I'm sorry. Make great comics again. Watchmen are all loosely based off Charlton characters. Correct. The Question, Blue Beetle, and Captain Atom, Dr. Manhattan, Rorschach, and Owl. Headless Bourgeois, Moore is an establishment anarchist, like the old school punk bands that turned into authoritarians during COVID. I can't say he's not a good writer, though. I enjoy most of his comic work. Yeah, look, I got most of his work as well. It's just that I know he's fighting it. I know he's fighting even the heroism within himself when he writes his characters. I know he's fighting that. Doesn't have it in him. Whereas Miller embraced that. However dark Miller is accused of being, he still understands a hero. He understands Rand. He read Rand. He used to talk openly about Rand years ago, about Ayn Rand's work, Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged. He used to talk about it openly. He even actually based one of his stories, Martha Washington, on Atlas Shrugged. He definitely did. Diane says, got to check out, but you had a great birthday, Bosch. I did. Thank you for having us on the live stream. I hope there's a Pigman movie or anime series. Hey, I would love that. I would love that. Make great comics again. Ozymandias, yeah. Killing millions to save billions is not really heroic. No, it's pathetic. It's stupid. It's disgusting. That's Moore doing that. Whatever, yeah, he had a character, but that's more what Moore were doing. He was, Ozymandias. You could tell that was his attitude about life. No respect for human life. In order to what? Save billions by killing millions? Steve Miller talks says it's been a long time, but I seem to recall that Watchmen came about because DC Warner wanted to be able to exploit the Charlton characters while Moore wanted just one and done. I guess so. I think that might be right. I don't know the exact origins about that, but yeah. Guys, it's been about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. Appreciate every single one of you being here. I really, really do. If you can tell some friends about it, subscribe. I want to get that subscriber count up. I want to talk about, issues of the day. I want to talk about comics. I want to talk about my comics. I want to talk about anything and everything. And at a certain point, I'll be showing you my latest story. After it's announced, I'll show you. I will have maybe some drawing streams even. I'll show you art from it. It'll be fun. I really enjoy this. And I got to thank also Ethan Van Sciver for having me on, first of all. He's a great cartoonist. He's been drawing comics for over 30 years. And people to try to equate him with Eric July it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. You got a 30-year vet and you got a guy who just started comics in his 30s and not really getting what makes comics. I mean, his Iceman comics are pretty bad. It really is. It's not well written. And that's, again, if it's not well written, the flashy character, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. If that's the anchor, if that's the core of your comic universe. But he had me on, Ethan Van Sciver, and it takes balls because so many people know about me. Believe it or not, more people know about me than people pretend to. There are pros in comics who look around more or less, send me messages, love your stuff, but I don't want to hear it. With all due respect to everyone, I don't want to hear from you. If you're not going to be open about it, don't tell me, because you're cowards. You are. It's like I'm your guilty pleasure in my art. I'm your thing where it's only you can say it in a private chat. So Ethan had me on, and he mentioned me when I do some stuff on Twitter. I really, really appreciate it because again, he knows what he's been canceled. I don't know what it is to be canceled because I've never been canceled. I've been pre-canceled in a lot of ways. The work I do, I wouldn't be touched with now. So it's like I never got to the point of being accepted enough to be canceled. So I'm pre-canceled. Pretty funny. But let me read a little more here. Al Meyer says, how long until Pigman 4 comes out? Again, I'm working on this project. It's the longest project I've done yet. I might be able to concurrently do, because I think I'm going to take 1 or 2 days off and do that. I can do that, I believe. Thanks for your interest, Al. Thanks for everyone for your interest here. I really appreciate it. And it's a long time coming. Jimmy the Lumberjack, cheers. Until next time, Bosch. Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Hello, Bourgeois. Enjoyed it. Cheers. Appreciate it. All right, everyone. Thanks again. Really appreciate it. I'm going to make it available out there. And follow me on X at the Bosch Walson. Facebook, I guess, if you're there. Subscribe to this channel. Let people know. I would really appreciate it. I definitely want to make these. I don't know how regular I'll be, but I want to have some commentary and maybe have a guest or two, people that I respect that I really like.
that wouldn't mind even being on my show, because some people would mind, even if they like me in private, So yeah, kudos to Ethan Westcover again for having me on this show. Really, really appreciate it. And I think being on that show, I think got me a little more taste of being on a live stream. This probably influenced me having this on, and maybe even considering this building a channel here. Thanks everyone, appreciate it. Really, really do. So until next time, thank you.